Hey, everybody.
All right.
Good to see you all here. Really want to go in depth today about the Happening and what it means and what it actually does and what Sakib and I have seen happen previously in the industry. But before I go into that, we've been talking now for a couple of weeks, a couple of AMAs of what's going on with Bitcoin. Are we in a correction movement, or are we still in the possibility of wave three? Uh, After seeing what I saw just a couple of days ago, where we had that big bull trap, I do
Yeah.
believe that we are actually in the corrective now. So I believe we've got a truncated fifth wave, and we're now doing a correction pattern down. And it doesn't look like it's going to be a simple ABC to me. It looks like a more complex pattern, and it is possible actually to get a five wave pattern going down, especially when you've
Yeah.
had kind of a funky pattern going up. And for those of you who don't know about Elliott wave theory proposes that the market moves in a five wave pattern with three waves impulsing up and then two corrective waves on the way up. And the same can happen down. We can do a five wave pattern down. And I think we might be getting something like that, is what I'm seeing here.
Yeah. I agree. I think this is we had wave one of the new bull market, and now we're in wave two.
Well, I still think we're, so what's interesting about Elliott wave theory is it moves in different cycle levels, right? So you have short time frame cycles,
Right.
you have long time frame cycles, and things like that. And then you've got super grand cycles and things like that. As a matter of fact, I think I can go in here and I'll show you with the settings. Let me zoom in because I know you guys can't see as good as I can see on this 4K monitor. But I can go in here and I can set the degree, right? So we have minuscule,
Hmm.
submicro, micro, subminuet, minuet, minute, minor, intermediate, primary cycle, super cycle, grand cycle, submillennium, millennium, super millennium. So there are many different, yeah. And what does that mean? Like, how does that break down? So there's waves within waves, right? With Elliott wave theory.
Hmm.
So it postulates that let's just do a five wave, right? So we'll just go one, two, three, four, and five. And then you can do a wave within a wave. So this wave would have one, two, three, four,
Yeah.
and five. And so all those different levels are referring to like the different layers in which you can do waves. And we can actually see this. I like to do everything on higher time frames because things just
Exactly.
it kind of becomes noise if you do it on a low enough
Yeah.
time frame. But we'll go to like a 30-minute time frame and we'll start mapping out waves. Yeah, see how it kind of looks almost like sound waves. But in these smaller
Hmm.
time frames, you can do one, two, three, something like that. So you can map out these movements in smaller and smaller time frames. Let me actually zoom into that. Yeah. See if I can see a really clear wave pattern, like a five wave movement in these lower time frames.
For me, the lowest time frame I usually look at is like the 4 hour.
Yeah, yeah. I rarely go under 30 minutes. 30
Right.
minutes is about as small as I'll get. If we go to like the 1 hour, we can see things a bit more clearly. Well, let's look at an impulse wave. Impulse waves are always easy to see. Okay, so here's a clear five wave impulse wave. We got one, two, three, four, and five. And so that would be on a much smaller cycle.
Hmm.
All right. So yeah, that's the way Elliott wave theory, postulates how the market moves. Um, I've seen it, to be fairly true, but the misleading part about it is that you need confirmation on multiple time frames to really understand it. Like you can't just go to a super small time frame and see a five-way pattern and say, okay, I know for sure it's going to correct now. So, I need to wait till the bottom of that correction and then buy in, because it can do lots of tricky things. Like what we're waiting on is for this correction movement to go below, was it 24.9, 24.850, right? And that will give
Right.
us a full confirmation that we actually are in a corrective pattern. Once we have that confirmation, then we have to figure out which corrective pattern we're in. Are we in a simple ABC? Are we in a five-wave pattern? And so it's not just as simple as, okay, I see five waves, I know what to do now, because it can be really tricky. Like we might almost match this and then suddenly go back up. And then that would mean that we're still in wave three of this pattern. So it takes years and years and
Yeah.
years of experience, to be able to utilize it as an effective tool. Like as a novice, you may understand the concept and think, oh, I got it, but it really takes years of experience. And what's more important than that, and Sakib, you even agree with me on this, is the levels of resistance, right? Right.
Support and
So we go to
resistance.
support and resistance. And we're looking for support and resistance. And what's really interesting that I'm seeing right now, you can see in this X wave that came up, that was resistance, and that has now become support
Support.
for us. And I'm getting a loop in your
Oh,
yeah, I'm
okay.
getting a loop from your audio there, Sakib. But if we look right here, and I'm going to draw this out, yeah, this has now become an area of support. And you can see that we're desperately trying to, break through this huge area of resistance. Resistance is support, support is resistance. If you're underneath of it, it's resistance. If you're on top of it, it's support. But this was really, really well established. It was tested like a million times. So we know this to be very strong. Now, this, on the other hand, even if I take it, let's go back to the beginning of time. Yeah, like
Yeah.
its its origins, I suppose, would just be in this little correction area here. So I don't see this as strong support. There's not a preponderance of evidence to show me that this is strong support. So that's saying to me that there's a very high probability it's going to break through. But
Exactly. And that's the thing about support and resistance. Like the more activity you have on a level, the more, it means, the more significant that level is as resistance or as support.
indeed, indeed, and hopefully on the next AMA, I'll probably go into Fibonacci sequences. That's a really interesting tool as well. I don't know if you guys use TradingView or know how to use all the tools, but it's it's good entertainment for me, especially now that all the writers and actors or whatever in Hollywood are on strike and no new content is coming out and life is getting boring. It's a good time to learn something like charting and technical analysis and entertain yourself
Yeah.
with new knowledge and new things.
And the really interesting thing about the Fibonacci sequence is that it's not just in trading, it's in
Oh, it's
nature,
the
it's
yeah, it's
in everywhere.
it's the fundamental math of the universe. Everything in the universe can correlate with Fibonacci sequence. Um, but let's go into the halvening. For those of you who don't know what the halvening is, I'll try to explain it as simple as possible. But it's built into the Bitcoin protocol after a certain number of transactions or blocks are solved. The rewards for solving those blocks will suddenly be cut in half. And this has two major effects. One is it doubles the cost to produce a Bitcoin. So currently, right now, our production cost of a Bitcoin is about $6,000 a Bitcoin. When the halvening happens, then our effective cost will become double. It will be $12,000 per Bitcoin. right? But beyond that, because the supply is diminished, it's cut in half, it also doubles the demand for the coin as well. And so, as the costs are driven up for the production of the coin, as the supply is cut in half and the demand remains constant, so it's the equivalent of the demand doubling. It's a very brutal but cut and dry system to force the price and the value of Bitcoin to go up. And I think it's what has made it so successful as an asset. We're going to go on a large scale time frame. Actually, you know what? I should probably let me fire up the BLX. Yeah, the rainbow, because this shows it from the beginning of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the BLX.
So this is the BLM.
And I'm getting that loop again, Sakib. I don't know where it's coming from. If you could maybe turn down your monitor speakers or something, or so I'm sure you guys are looking at this and you're probably scratching your heads like, I've got questions. And I'm sure you've got questions. So let me first try to answer some things for you. This sawtooth pattern that you're seeing right here, this is, and notice how the angles are changing. They're getting flatter and flatter and flatter. So this was my attempt to project when Bitcoin will reach $1 million. And that's what this yellow line up here represents. And then this nice bluish line, you guys will have to forgive me. Believe it or not, I'm colorblind. So I see this as blue. It may not actually be blue. This is the average of all of Bitcoin's movements. And we can see, although Bitcoin has had really great, uptrends and really deep downtrends, and everybody says, oh, it's dead when, it's a downtrend. We can see a very consistent pattern here. Like this didn't take a rocket scientist or anything like that for me to reason out or, just to use basic logic. Why did I do this? Because I wanted to predict the year in which we were going to hit $1 million, or Bitcoin was going to be consistently worth $1 million. And right now, it's looking like it's going to be the year 2032. But also what's cool about this, and let me just grab this, I'll just do duplicate. It might actually, and I'll just, oops. Yeah. So let's see, just by drawing out this sawtooth pattern, actually could be as early as 2029. So that would mean, we're roughly in the next 5 years, we're going to break that.
Yeah.
But it also helps me see.
Possibly by the next halving.
Yeah, yeah. So it's still early days, guys. I mean, we're at 25K right now. Compared to $1 million, 25K is like nothing. So even if you were to acquire an entire Bitcoin right now and just wait 5 years until it hits that $1 million threshold, I mean, that would be a very worthwhile investment. What's even more worthwhile is to mine over those 5 years and get Bitcoin at a production cost. And that's what Mineopoly is all about. It's about acquiring the Bitcoin at a production cost. Even at $12,000 a Bitcoin, it's still a phenomenally good price. But we're okay. We understand this. Our power is good. The miners we are using are excellent. They're going to be more efficient than what is kind of the standard or the workhorse of the mining industry, which I would say is S19s, Sakib.
Yeah, they're S19J Pro 100Ts are like basically everywhere.
Yeah, the market is completely saturated, and they're effectively going to become like the S9s of the previous bull cycle. They're basically going to be worthless. I mean, if you sell them at the right point in time, you'll make a good return on it. But their days are numbered in terms of usability and desirability. And the last market, we actually had a shortage of miners. And so anybody and everybody was desperate just to get any kind of machine that would do any kind of mining. Um, this market, I think we're going to have an abundance of miners. So it's going to be a very different picture. And because I see it as an abundance of miners, that's why it's paramount for us to get more efficient machines so they're going to be more desirable and they're going to have a higher resale value. And that's what we're focusing on. Not only in our self mining operations, but also in the Monopoly project itself. We want to use that knowledge and that wisdom to make sure that the every advantage is taken that can be taken that we know. And with that being said, I think Sakib has shared some of our operations. One of our operations that we're doing a build out for, and I'd like to share with you guys the video now of that operation, now
I
complete.
apologize for the poor quality of the video in advance.
It's the iPhone's fault, Sakib. You shouldn't have broken your Android.
Yeah.
Sakib broke his Android playing with it in the water because he bought some Chinese waterproof case and he thought the Chinese were going to protect him. Sakib, we know better. We know how the Chinese operate. Um, so anyway, you guys may remember or recall the 1 megawatt transformer. I think I pointed that out in a couple of AMAs. But we'll go ahead and just do an overview here. I'll let me actually speed it up a little bit because it's a pretty long video. Sakib like goes in every nook and cranny of the place. Can I make it even faster? Super fast? So 2x is considered super fast. When I go through the security footage, I'm usually going at it about 20x, and that's what I consider super fast. All right, so let's pause it. As you can see, guys, there's plenty of empty shelf space in this 1 megawatt facility, and everybody's like, oh, what are you going to do? What are you going to do if this project doesn't take off? And I'll explain it with crystal clarity because I tried to explain it to a guy the other day and he was like, oh, so you're not going to buy miners. And I said, no, we're going to buy miners and we're going to, operate them on our existing operations. This is what I'm referring to. We have empty shelf space here. When tranche 5 closes, if we don't have a half a megawatt to justify building on a half a megawatt worth of infrastructure, these shelves will still be empty and we will buy the machines. We'll plug them in and make them operational here at this facility. There's no mystery
So
to
everyone
it.
will still get what was promised.
Yeah,
There's no
everybody's going to
mystery. I mean,
probably get more than what was promised because we'll probably buy even more efficient machines than what we were planning on. And secondary, the charity is going to go out the window. So instead of getting 75%, everybody's going to get 80%. But there's no mystery here. We're not going to do something that is like overly complicated or doesn't make sense. And we've had other guys like, okay, so when somebody buys an NFT, then you buy the miner. No, we buy the miners in bulk because that's how we get the best price for the miners. If we buy them one by one by one, we have to add at least 20% to the cost to purchase the miner, and that's just not efficient. That's not efficient how we do things. We buy in bulk, we build in bulk, and we mine in bulk. So yeah, there's the process for you guys. It's again, we're not trying to do something crazy here. Like imagine some weird structure. It's going to be common sense. At the end of tranche 5, if there's not a half a megawatt worth of miners, however many miners there are, we're going to go ahead and purchase. We're going to purchase them. We're going to put them on the shelf, and we're going to start running them. It's nothing, no magic going on here. It's a very straightforward, easy to understand process. And there's, Sakib, he's got to show the front of the miners.
I just like being around miners.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. I don't like the sound they make, but especially in a cool
I've
morning.
gotten I've gotten
Sakib,
used
I've
to
noticed
it.
you are not wearing ear protection. I've noticed our workers are not wearing ear protection. I want to see that change. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, I know that we just got this site set up and it's all new and all that stuff,
Sure.
but that's no excuse to not adhere to safety standards.
Yeah.
All right.
Understood.
So
I'll get some
go
earplugs
ahead and
next time.
explain this to everybody because I don't want
Okay.
anybody
So,
thinking that we're abusing any of our workers or anything like that. Go ahead and explain
right.
this, Sakib.
So So the workers are locals, and they prefer to. I mean, we offered them a bed, but they
I was going
prefer
to
to
give
have a
them a
mattress on the
TV and a
floor.
PS5. I'm still trying to talk them into it.
But yeah, they prefer to sleep with a mattress on the floor. We did give them air conditioning, which they didn't want, but
They didn't
it's
want the
there.
air
You'll see it in
conditioning
the
either. I
video.
was like,
And
well, you don't have to turn it on, but I'm going to be, if I'm going to be hanging out here, I'm going to have air conditioning. So,
yeah, so they have.
it's not
Go ahead.
easy for people from the first world to understand people from the third world because, well, third world people have never lived like first world people, and first world people have never lived like third world people. But the short of it is, if you're used to living a certain way, changing to something, even though we feel it's a better way, is not actually a better way for them. And we'll go in a little bit more detail when we go into the bathroom. Um,
Oh yeah, the
yeah.
bathroom.
So there's the air
So
conditioning.
there is the AC.
Yeah. And that this is, my job as a CEO, it's not to impose what I think is best for my workers, but it's to understand their needs and then accommodate them for what they want and what they need. And so, I listen to my workers and, now the kitchen is not done yet. And that's why we've got minor boxes and stuff like that in there. This is just kind of a little makeshift, like camping kitchen. But the bathroom, we're going to tile the floor, aren't we? Saki, we're not going to just leave it poured.
Yes, we're gonna
Okay.
tile the
So we're
floor,
going to tile that out and put a
and
proper thing. But, this
so
this
as
is
as
what
far
they
as the
prefer.
bathroom,
Yeah.
yeah, the locals they can't use like a normal sit down toilet, like,
A
and so they
Western style
prefer to
toilet.
use the pan, yeah. And yeah, I mean, and also as far as showers, like they prefer to shower with a bucket
Yeah,
and
that's why we've got the
just
little
get the
spigot
water
there.
in the bucket.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we
But
we wanted to design things how they're used to it, how they're comfortable basically.
well, eventually we're going to sway them to, more first world style, but it's something that you've got to do in baby steps, right? You
Yeah.
can't you can't just, throw them into an entire new environment and then expect them to like it. You've got to just slowly introduce it, and bring it into their life. And then once they realize, oh, this is more convenient, or oh, this is easier, or oh, this is better, as they get accustomed to that, then you can sway things. But I actually like this style of toilet. When I lived in Japan, I lived in Tokyo for 10 years. These were the traditional style toilets that the Japanese use, and I got pretty skilled at being able to use them. It is a little bit of a challenge where you gotta take your pants leg off, you gotta take your shoe off, and then take it off, and then hold it off to the side, do your business, and then you got to balance on one foot and put it all back together. But I got pretty skilled at it, so I don't mind it so much. They say it's better for you too. Like
Yeah, they say it's better for you because you're
it's a
lower
more
down.
natural position or something. Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, guys, this is the facility. I don't think anybody has ever attacked our credibility that we're doing build outs, but I mean, I don't know how you
Mhm.
can prove it any more than, us showing you guys like the beginning of the construction and now the final stages of the construction. Um, I think it's pretty difficult to fake that or you know make that
Yeah.
photoshopped or whatever. But let's go a little bit deeper into the happening, and we're going to take a look here. Go to the hosting profit. Go ahead and log me in because this has got the happening. And what are
Right.
things going to look like in the happening? And we'll take away this profit share.
Just refresh the page maybe one time.
No. Just change the minor. Let's go to the bread and butter of the industry, which would be like, we'll say like an S1990T
S9.
or
Yeah.
yeah,
Or 100 TJ
S1995T,
Pro 100.
something like that. 34 and a half watts per terahash, right? So your power cost and your efficiency are going to come into play big time. Big time. As it sits right now, it's saying that it is not profitable. Regular S19s are not profitable to mine with at 7 cent power, Saki, even before the halvening.
Wow.
Well, it's because the price action of Bitcoin is so low. Like if we just bump it up to like 30K, like boom, it just barely comes to a break even point. Right? And that's right now before
Huh.
the halvening. Now after the halvening, boom, negative $23,000, right? So I see these projects, and let's go with the S19J Pro, right? Last week I kind of did some overviews of the different projects, and I gave my opinion. Are they going to make it? Are they not going to make it? What are the odds of that? This project, they want to buy S19J Pros and they want to run them through the bear market using the capital that they raised, even though they're not making any money. They're losing $20,000 a megawatt per month at this price of Bitcoin. Now, if we scroll through here and we scrub through here, what does Bitcoin need to be at 7? And wait a minute, their power cost wasn't even 7.25; it was 7.5, and they said that was favorable.
7.5.
Yeah. So what does the price of Bitcoin have to be for these guys to be profitable? Well, it needs to be around $47,000. Let's go ahead and put in our cost. We should. The whole point of this is do like an apples to apples comparison. But it'd be really
Apple
cool is
stuff.
if we could
Yeah.
put in our miners, which are more efficient, versus their miners. But it gives you a really good idea of where things are going to be. So after the halvening, it's really obvious that the price of Bitcoin will need to be at $47,000 or higher, or all of these people running S19s, they're going to lose money every month.
Mm-hmm.
And they've got enough to survive 1 month, maybe 2 months, but they don't survive 3. That's when they all unplug and they all liquidate and all that stuff. And typically what we
Well, I
see,
mean, if you're just
typically what we've seen, let me go back to the other chart here where I've got all the happenings. If you look
I was
here,
gonna say, like,
yeah, it
if you're
corrects.
spending all your money on electricity, then
It corrects. After each halvening, we always have a down month. So we expect it to go up and then halven and then it goes down. And it goes down for,
mhm.
1 month, 2 months, and then boom, everybody unplugs. Because their power is terrible, right? Their efficiency is terrible. Now, here's where efficiency really comes into play is that's like your only saving grace if your power cost is terrible and the price of Bitcoin is down. So if we change these out to like XPs, 141
Mhm.
terahash. All right, so we can see now that they're generating considerable amount of profit, and the price of Bitcoin can go way lower before they. Yeah, let's take it down. So after the halvening, the price of Bitcoin
30.
for XPs can be 30K, can be around within 10K of where it is today, and they're still going to be making money. Let me go to the break even. VJ needs to fix that. It's not.
If you can run them reliably.
Yeah, well, that's another problem is we all know that the XPs are like terrible in terms of reliability. So they're going to struggle. But yeah, after the halvening, people at 7.5 cent power, if you're coming across a project and they're like, yeah, we've got 6 cent power, we've got 7.5 power, and we're going to be running S19J Pro 104Ts, just shake your head. The math does not support that they will survive. They literally have 8 months to live, and then after that, they're going to be brutally executed out of this industry. Now, if they're saying they're going to run XPs, then mathematically it supports them that they'll be able to survive. However, XPs are unreliable, so they're going to be having 50%, 40% of their operations constantly being offline or repaired or being worked on. It's not going to be easy for them. Um, but at 2 cent power, you can pretty much survive anything. I mean, at 2 cent power, if the price of Bitcoin, ooh, look at that, still making money, still
This is
making money.
after I have.
Yeah, after the halving, if the price of Bitcoin goes all the way down to $9,400, well, with the XPs, let's do ours. Bambi, hush. My dog Bambi is having some sort of weird goose attack. All right, so let's go with the no, that's the wrong watts per terahash. There we go. We'll go with the M50S, 26 watts of terahash. Um, yeah, I mean we can still take it all the way down to 11K.
Okay. Yeah.
There, take it up a little bit. Boom. Okay, $11,000. Which if the price
After
of
halving.
Bitcoin goes to $11,000, then Lord help us, like the majority of the industry will have to completely unplug. We'll have to completely get out of it. And I've been noticing just some interesting calculations. We'll put it like that. Like if where is our? I'm trying to look for it on my. Let's see, UAE mining projects, mining. Um, well, I'll just go into the announcements here and pull up the ROI calculator. Yeah, this is impossible in 2 years from now. This price is impossible. It's possible for us to continue mining at that price, but the rest of the industry is going to be making slim to nothing. It's going to be making slim
Yeah.
to nothing at that price. So I don't know why people are putting in impossible scenarios, because if Bitcoin were to go to this price, I would say 90% of the industry would have to unplug. Like if it went to this price for a couple of days or something, it would be fine. But if it stayed at 40K for 2 years straight or below, only we would survive. Only we would be profitable. 90% of the world would have to completely unplug their machines because they would be losing money or they would just be breaking even every month. And that there's really no money to be made in breaking even every month. Right? Whereas we would be in a situation where we'd be
We're
making,
still making
yeah,
most of our.
well, see, what's not being factored into this is the difficulty. So if 90% of all the
Right.
global hash rate were to drop off, the difficulty would drop off a cliff, which would mean that instead of making zero point 0.8 Bitcoin, we would be making somewhere around 3 or 4 Bitcoin, even with the halving, because we would be, one of the few nodes able to still operate and support the network. Um, and that's another thing that people don't understand about this situation. So if you put in an impossible number like this, you also need a factor that the difficulty would profoundly change because we would be the only survivable project on the network. And so the amount of Bitcoin earned would be substantially higher. But even when
It's a
they do all
liquid
this stuff,
situation. I
like
mean,
and there's no way we've never sold a miner for $0 per terahash. I mean, what's the point of doing that? Sakib, in our entire careers in ASIC-Z, have we ever sold a single miner for $0 a terahash?
never. Why would we?
I mean, I think the cheapest we've ever sold it for was like $1 a terahash, right?
Yeah, that was way back in 2018, I think, where,
Right. Well, I mean,
maybe during the bear market where,
we were selling like S9s for like $13 a piece with the PSU. That's like a dollar a terahash.
yeah, exactly.
Right. So even yeah, so I mean that's just like impossible. Like you would have to like you, you know this would be beyond apocalyptic. So if you do want to put in a number this low, you've got to factor in that the amount of BTC earned is going to be significantly higher, phenomenally higher.
Hmm.
Right? This is factoring in the difficulty rising. It's not factoring in how much Bitcoin you would have with the difficulty dropping off a cliff. Same goes for price per terahash. The lowest we've ever seen, the most undesirable miners in the universe in the most undesirable time, which was the bear market, S9s, $1 a terahash. These will not fit that bill. These are the M50s. They're 26 watts a
Hmm.
terahash or 28 watts a terahash are the ones that we're getting, which are profoundly more efficient than the S19. So, you know, painting these really unrealistic scenarios, I don't know what benefit is coming from this. I doubt we would sell it. Like the least we would sell it is probably $5 a terahash, Sakib.
That's like you said, that's if Bitcoin goes to like 10, 11K. I mean, I can't imagine selling for $5 a terahash if Bitcoin's at 30K even.
Yeah, and then this would be at least three times this number.
Yeah,
Can I change
of
this?
course.
No,
Yes.
it doesn't.
Oh, actually,
Well, I guess
no,
I
that,
guess I can multiply it by three. So it's point 0.0147 times three. So 0.0441. Just see what this
hmm.
says. Come on. It's like, will it let me? Maybe I have to change it here. 0.0441. Boom. All right. So yes, worst case, absolutely extreme apocalyptic scenario. Um, like just the worst of the worst that I could possibly imagine. This would be your realistic, and just like I said, pessimistic scenario for one NFT. Guess what? I'm like right on there, right
Right
on
there.
there. So all these people making these impossible situations, trying to find out the lowest number or whatever, I've already done that work for you guys. It's right here. The answer is already right here. And I'll zoom in a little bit so you guys can see that. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
I can't really see that well.
yeah. Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, the math's already been worked out. So yeah, I don't know why people are messing around with that. But what is it? 147 is the base.
Yeah, 0.0147.
Yeah. All right, and this needs to be 478, something like that.
I think you put in 4,000,007.
Oh, yeah. That would be a great number to hit, right?
2029.
Right. And then realistically, we'd be at $150 a terahash. Yeah. So we put this calculator here to help you quickly come to a conclusion. But if you put in extreme parameters, you have to understand that it's going to dynamically change a lot of other parameters as well. Right.
Right.
So Yeah, for all the doomsday apocalyptic folks out there who are, trying to get that doomsday scenario, make sure that you adjust the other facts correctly as well. All right, and
Can't have one doomsday
yeah,
thing
yeah,
without the other.
exactly,
So
right. You can't turn a blind eye to other facts that are going to change in the parameter. You can't ignore that. So be responsible when you do your own research. Does anybody have any questions or anything? I feel like we kind of just talk about the same things over and over and over and over again.
mm, doesn't look like we have any questions yet.
All right. Well,
Well, I don't know. Tranche 2 is closing here in 7 days, guys.
7 days, 5 hours,
So
11 minutes,
get,
and 45 seconds as of now. Um, we've shown you guys, what will happen if, you know, we don't get enough of a raise to justify doing a half a megawatt build out. We'll simply run you guys in our existing operations, and I'll kind of rewind this video a little bit just to show you guys. These miners are used, by the way. So if you're looking at them and you're seeing that they're dirty, they're dusty, that's how we got them. Um, we didn't have, well, what we decided to do is that it was just smarter to run these until the ROI, which they'll ROI very quickly because we got them cheap. And then we liquidate them, and then we use, the earnings plus the liquidation to then buy all new. That's the strategy that we're taking with this. And good farms, this is how they do it, right? This is how they raise their capital and get the capital to buy the newer, more efficient machines. So we didn't bother to really clean these machines because we're probably only going to run them, like 4.5 months? Not even that, Sakib.
yeah,
We should
before we,
ROI in these
hmm
in like maybe, I don't know, 60, 70 days
or
is what we're
yeah,
projecting. And then we're going to unplug them, and then
just
we'll probably do the right thing and we'll clean them and make sure they're nice. Fortunately for us, they're all operational. We're not having, well, we did have some issues, but we caught that in the warehouse. But, like I said,
yeah.
guys, plenty of room for Monopoly. Plenty of room. Like I think to date,
Rebel 86,
okay.
go ahead.
Well, I was just
Rebel
saying,
816 has a question.
okay, what's the
Oh, go
question,
ahead.
Rebel? Well, I mean, it's just
He
simple.
said, I'd like to know if I can.
Sakib, let me talk.
Yeah,
Okay.
oh, go ahead.
All right. I was just gonna say that, like, to date, I think we only have like the equivalent of 20 miners or something like that.
Yeah, we haven't had like that many
15
failures at all.
times. No, I'm saying for the Monopoly project,
Right. Oh, okay. So far, how many machines do we have?
210. Let's see, times 15. Wait a minute. 15 times 210. It's like 3150 divided by 118. 26.6 miners. So 27 miners. There's plenty of space
Mhm.
on our shelves for 27 miners. All right, go ahead, Rebel. I'd like to know if I can keep buying machines with you guys even into the future. Um, well, that's kind of the whole purpose here, Rebel, is that we wanted to create Monopoly as its own individual project where users in Monopoly as a community could continue to refresh tranches and continue to get more and more machines and to continually build wealth. But if the community is not there to stand behind it and support it, then what we'll do is we'll run in our own operations, and just like it says in the white paper, when the liquidation comes, we will do that first liquidation, and we'll just say, thanks, really enjoyed working with you guys, and we'll consider everything a failure. Sakib, would you like to elaborate on
Yeah,
that?
I think that answered his questions, and that's if you want if Monopoly doesn't get at least a half a megawatt.
Yeah. So it's not in my power. It's not in Sakib's power, whether or not Monopoly will succeed or fail. It's in the community's power. There's 6 degrees of separation between you and every other human being on this planet. And Sakib and I are doing our best to do our part, which is the nuts and bolts of mining and setting up the operations, running the operations, and things like that. But in terms of getting the word out there, building the excitement, helping other people see the value in what Monopoly is and what it offers, we can only do so much with that. I mean, we've thrown almost 30K at influencers, and we were expecting a huge
Mm.
result from Pelton, but it was absolutely abysmal. It was worse,
Mhm.
and it's gotten so bad now that Vosk is sending us an email almost every other day, like almost begging us to go forward with him. We don't want to do that anymore. We don't. This project isn't um, a money pit for we make plenty of money just doing our own mining operations. We don't have to do this, and it's not something that I can justify it becoming a money pit where I'm taking money out of profitable operations and throwing it at something that a dead market or the people don't want. Why would I do that? It doesn't make any kind of logical sense. If you guys want to see this thrive, and a lot of you guys are doing a lot of great things, and I really, really appreciate that. But it's in your hands. Don't put it on our shoulders. You can do your part too. You can like our videos, you can share our videos, you can distribute it, you can talk in other channels to other members that have similar interests to you, that you befriended. There's so many things that can be done. It just doesn't simply need to be on our shoulders and us pouring in you know, $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 into influencers who ultimately I don't even think really care about us. I've been really disappointed um, in their behavior before we end up doing work with them, and the behavior after. Before, they're all friendly and buddy buddy and, oh, this is a great idea and da da da, and as soon as they get their money and they do the work, then they just like ghost us. And
So,
yeah, maybe it's the nature of the business, but I I think we merit a little bit more respect than just to be treated like a piece of meat, a slam bam, thank you, ma'am. Um, yeah,
mhm.
so it would be one thing if we
Yeah.
were doing some sort of staking protocol and, oh, you're going to make crazy amounts of money and moon all that BS. We're not doing BS. We're the real deal. Like we're serious about mining, and I don't know. It's been kind of a rude awakening for me to get into the NFT scene. I had this idea. Well, Sakib and I had this idea. After getting rugged with Horde, we were just like, you know what? Let's
Hmm.
just show the world, what a real project should look like. It should be simple. It should be direct. It should be logical. It should be clear and concise and transparent, easy for everybody to understand. And I think we've done that. But the sad truth of the matter is everybody in the NFT space seems to want to live in La La Land. They don't want to live in reality. And if reality doesn't survive in the NFT space, well, at least we know now for sure, right?
Yeah.
um,
So we have a few more questions here.
okay.
What is the mint number? What is the mint number currently at, and how many NFTs do we need to sell to reach the bare minimum?
The bare minimum is 1,125. That's for half a megawatt.
Right.
Um, and currently we're at 35 plus 182.
Yeah, 217.
So 217 times 15, and then divided by 217 times 15 divided by 118. So yeah, 27 and a half, 28 miners in, which is roughly 20% to halfway.
Hmm.
Yeah. And we're working on actually getting a little goal meter going here on the homepage.
Yeah.
our dev was working on that yesterday, but I guess he's disappeared for Friday. He's got the Friday disappearing act, which is typical of him. All devs are very good at suddenly disappearing. But yeah, we're 20% of the way there, and honestly, we're not even halfway through the tranches yet. So if we continue on this pace, the current pace, um, there's a possibility. There's a possibility that we could get a half a megawatt out of this. Yeah, by the time we start paying out, this project will be closed and it won't be an opportunity anymore. That's just the nature of the beast. It's a chicken and an egg.
Okay, looks like we have 3 people typing.
We've got Aaron typing here. Well, you know, I've thought about this a lot, and maybe this is just part of a longer situation. Like maybe the first, if we can get to a megawatt, the first run at this, is gonna not be impressive, but after it's got 2 years under its belt and liquidation phase comes, and you guys all make out like gangsters, well, then I think it's going to be really obvious and really apparent that we're the real deal, and then I think everybody and their mom is going to want to jump in. Should we open the tranches back up for refresh? So the first run may just barely get us there to that half a megawatt, but the second run,
Mm-hmm.
again, after you guys have had all your payouts and everything for 2 years, and you're telling everybody in the world, like, wow, this is one of the best choices that I made in terms of accumulating Bitcoin, and just getting in a project that had its ducks in a row to pay well. Um, then I think everybody and their mama is going to be a believer. So it may not happen this time around, and that's fine by me. Like I said, we're doing perfectly fine, just self mining. It says quite a few projects just hitting the market right now. I think Mineopoly will gain momentum if you can compare rates of each, and people will start to get it. That's another thing too. And Sakib, I wanted to talk to you about this. And we'll go ahead and maybe even change this. Um, if we take this number and we divide it by what did we say? We're going to do it in
Or, or
Q. Let's see, May 18th, 2026.
Q2 of 2026.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Q2 of 2026.
Yeah, somewhere in 2026, Q1 of 2026, I believe. But anyway, I was trying to figure out the exact number. So if we take this number, 9,081, and we divide it by, what'd you say, 24, 26 months, Sakib?
Yeah,
So let's divide it by 26 months.
20,
All right, so that is
26.
yeah, that's $349 per month. What would that be as a percentage yield?
Well, your initial is what, 440 right now.
Uh huh. So that'd be like an 85% return every month. You see what I'm getting at, Sakib? Let's just give, because we got all these people out here that they don't even want to learn Bitcoin. They don't even want to understand it. They just understand one number, and that is how much earnings do I get per month. So why don't we just reverse engineer that and project that out for these guys?
Sure.
Because
It's
that's all they
about
seem to understand.
88% per month.
Okay. So can we put this somewhere on here?
Okay. I will.
Let me maybe delete this and put maybe monthly yield.
Mhm.
Because that's what? Oh, goodness, bad typing day. Monthly yield 88%,
Mhm.
and I'm sure you can do some math in here that will automatically change this.
Yes, I'll do that.
Okay. I don't know any project, even
349.
all the crazy elephant money and all that stuff. I don't think they're doing 88% a month. Does anybody know of any other projects that are doing 88% a month?
Not sustainably, at least.
And
I
this is
mean,
yeah. I mean, this is
they mu-
the math is real, guys. Like like we're not using some sort of crazy calculus or anything. We're using common sense and just pure raw logic along with math. I don't know why this is down here, but let's get it up. Yeah, I mean, maybe maybe the this monthly yield will convince people that can only think one dimensionally and don't really understand the nature of dynamics of accumulating Bitcoin and things like that. So maybe this will help them see a number that they can then wrap their head around and say, oh, okay, now this makes sense to me. um, Sakib, yeah, if you could put in that automatic calculation,
yeah.
use 20 months as the reference point, or 26 months, I'm
Okay.
sorry, 26 months as the reference point.
Yeah.
It's not going to be an exact science, but it'll get them in the ballpark again, a number that they can understand and they can point to and say, this has an 88% monthly yield. I'm going to get in. Um, yeah, hopefully that will overcome some of the resistance that we're seeing. In other news, we're talking with venture capital uh, out of Europe. And hopefully next week, Sakib, I think we're going to sign the contract on the 1 megawatt.
Yeah.
And then a month after that, they're going to give us 10 million to do a 10 megawatts worth of build out for them. So we're pretty excited to have that progress. I couldn't agree with you more, Crypto Maniac. And I wanted to do an infographic for today's meeting. I think last time I showed you guys like the power costs chart, but I wanted to do an infographic about, you know, the what is mining. Everybody thinks it's all about the machines. Like, oh, I've got to get the most profitable machines. It has nothing to do with the machines. The machines are a tool, right? The real value in mining is power. Getting your power cost at the
Yeah.
absolute lowest possible cost it can possibly be. And then you use tools to convert that power into an asset like Bitcoin or something like that is worth more than the power used to generate that asset. And so the miners themselves, they're just a tool to be used in tandem with the power. And I look at these other projects and they're talking all about the miners. This is the rewards. This is what the miners are going to do, and they're looking at the miners. The miners are just a tool, guys. Right? What's really, really, really important in the mining industry is power. If you have good power, then that's it. That's the foundation you need to build your success off of. If you don't have that basic element up front, you're doomed to fail. You're going to always struggle. It's going to be next to impossible for you to survive long term. You might be able to do it in a short term window when it is profitable doing that window, but when you go through the full cycles, the ups and the downs of the market, it won't survive.
Nope.
Rebel says, if someone pays for a build out, they can keep using it, or is it just for one life cycle? Our land leases are for 7 years. And so for the first 3 years, if you do a build out or if you pay for a build out, we run and do everything. It's included in that initial cost. And then after the 3 years, we go to like a month to month lease, which you pay for, rent for the land, and then you pay like, $20 a miner or something like that for us to continue to operate things for you.
Yeah. So at 26 months, we're coming to about 79.38% a month.
Okay. So you asked me, Crypto Maniac, is there any place where I could put in two different power costs side by side? Go to asicz.com/ASIC hosting. I believe you will have to sign up for an account. Again, it's just verified an email. And then in there, you can pick your mining machines. You can put in two different power costs. Make sure that you move the profit share to 100% so you're getting an apples to apples comparison. But then you can do a side to side comparison. You can see over here 2-cent power and over here 7.5-cent power. And it's got this really cool little slider that you can go wee, 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 and play with. And you can even factor in the halvening. And it's got a cool little break even button that doesn't work when the halvening is selected, but does work when the halvening is not selected. That you can hit the break even button and you can see, how far things go.
I've shared the link there in the chat for you.
And this is, this is how passionate we are about what we do. Like we build our own technology calculators and things like that. I mean, this is even a half of it. If we go to CryptBooks, log in here real quick. This is another technology stack that we made, and I'll go to the ROI calculator. So we made our own calculator. Like we can put in 2-cent power, and we'll just do 0.9 of a megawatt. But we can go in here. Is there any way I can scroll this side to side? Yeah, and we can adjust the ROI. So we know exactly which gear is going to give us the fastest ROI for these parameters. And we can look through all the gear and we can... What are the two most important things you have to do to maintain the miners? The simple answer to that question is the first thing that you need to do is to buy right. You've got to buy the right machines. So if you buy the right machines and they're run in the right environment, then there should be very little maintenance that needs to be done to the machines. Maybe once every 6 months, they need to be, blown out with a leaf blower or something like that. But yeah, the name of the game is just to get machines that are never going to be a problem in the first place. And then the second thing is, make sure that the air is clean going over the miners. So if you live in next to a construction site that has a lot of dust that's kicked up, a lot of gravel roads, things like that, that stuff tends to get sucked into the machines and clogs them up. I mean, we've heard stories of people like running machines in barns and, like straw dust and things like that. It would get too hot and it would catch on fire. So first thing, buy the right machine. Second thing is, keep them in as clean of air as possible.
And I would say the third thing is to avoid humidity getting on your machines at all costs.
You can't. I mean, humidity's, you can't control the weather, Skip. Humidity's always going to be there. But what you can do is you can take measures within your facility to, reduce the humidity. So you can recirculate the air. You can also get those air things that like suck out the water and fill those bags full of water.
Dehumidifiers.
Dehumidifiers is one thing, but we use those bags. Remember, they're like bags with like a chemical in it. As the air goes across it, it takes all the water out through the chemical process. And then fills the bag full of water. But I mean, that's that's just how the cookie crumbles. That ROI does not look correct to me, Sakib. 17 months ROI.
Where? Oh, okay,
Yeah,
this
on the
one.
new gear here.
M53S Plus.
Yeah.
Hmm, that definitely does not look right.
Yeah, no, it must
Maybe
be
the
right.
efficiency was not.
Yeah,
Well, it's just the price of it. Okay, it's just the
yeah.
price of it.
Well, but the thing, okay, yeah, okay. Now I'm getting like, okay, so the hydros are 5 months, yes. So the hydros, we can see S19s would do 5.7. Again, this is all new gear. If we go down here, there's used gear, and that's what we've got with the used ones that we've got running in the new site that we're bringing online. But nobody has this tool. Nobody has a tool that gives them real time prices and real time hash rates and figures all that stuff out. I mean, you could make a spreadsheet, but then how are you going to populate that with real time costs and real time prices? Nobody's got that technology. Only we have that technology, and we've got that technology in such an efficient way that literally at a couple clicks of a button, I can tell you what is the best thing to buy at the moment. Based off of your
Hmm.
circumstances. And nobody else can do that. So if there's no more questions, guys, I will say thank you for your time, and it was great seeing you all again, and hope to see you
Oh, your
guys.
bonks is here.
Yeah, good to see you, Alex. Thanks for coming. Like I said, we've got many useful tools that no one. I mean, these are purpose built specifically for our industry. And if you guys ever want to do like a head-to-head comparison between two different power costs, you can go to our website. Again, you will have to sign up for the calculator app, but it's a simple process. It just like verifies your email or something like that, and then you can go in here and you can play with this like I do all day. Um, you cannot sign up for QuickBooks though. That's our own custom platform. That's what we use to manage all of our operations and our billing and all of that stuff.
All right. Well,
All
I
right.
appreciate everyone coming over today
Yeah,
to our
likewise.
AMA, and
Likewise. I appreciate
look
everybody's
forward to
time.
seeing you guys next week.
Yeah. And yeah, hopefully to see you guys next week and have a great one. Till next time. Bye bye.
Take care, guys.